Hi, welcome to my channel Ruby Neck Crochet Tejido. Today I'm going to teach you how to knit this beautiful sweater. It's very easy to do. I hope you guys like it and give it a try. And here is the list of material you're going to need to make it. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe and click on the little bell. That way you get notification each time I upload a video. Remember, I make my videos in Spanish and English. If you receive a Spanish video and you want to see that video in English, go to the main page of my YouTube channel. Then you'll find the English version in there. Send me a message and I can send you the link. Well, this is the set together with a beautiful slouchy hat. Very easy to do. I pick yellow for my set, but you can pick any color for yours. I remember at the end of each video I leave a link of a playlist with all my English tutorials. To make this pullover or blouse or sweater, it's really it's not a bulky piece, it's more like a blouse, but since I'm making it with medium 4 yarn, it's not as a summer blouse, but it's a blouse with long sleeve. It's loops and thread, impeccable bright, medium 4, 128 grams or 245 meters, sunny day, and it's medium 4. I have one of my subscribers asked me to give the needles that they recommend in the package because they don't get the same yarn as I do here in Canada. The mine say medium 4, and their yarn don't have that. So this one is for a 5mm netting needle or a 5mm hook, but I'm using a 7mm needles for mine. So I don't know the amount of yarn I'm going to use because I already did the front piece of the blouse, and I use almost a full ball of yarn. I'm not quite a full ball, so I don't know still how many I need for the sleeve, because I know with one I will do the other piece. You're gonna need tapestry needle and scissor, and I already have here one of the pieces, a piece of paper and pen if you want to guide by the row, or you can guide yourself by the motifs. So this is what we're gonna do. Gorgeous, one of my favorite stitch. They look amazing and it's very easy to do. So I have this done with 2 pieces of these, and then the sleeves. You can do your blouse or sweater or whatever name you want to call it. I already made a matching hat for these, exactly the same. I love this hat as well. Look how beautiful that look, and I will be doing this in my next video. So it's a blouse with a matching hat, and it's not a hat for a very cold weather like a winter time, but it's more for a cool evening. So it's beautiful. I love it. So this is what we're gonna do now. I already have one of my tutorials in how to do this stitch, but I'm gonna do it all over again in this video. That way, if you don't see that video, you can learn how to do it in this one. But it's very easy to do. Before we start, I want to explain a few things. I'm using a 7mm needles, and I cast down for mine, and here 63 stitches, and this is like a large size piece. And remember, I'm using this medium 4 yarn. If you are using a thinner yarn, like a cotton type of yarn for a summer blouse, and then you have to cast different amount of stitches. The 63 stitches will be for a small piece then, and 74 for a medium, 85 for a large, and 96 for an extra large if you're using a cotton yarn, like a thinner yarn. But for this one, like you see, I cast on 63, and is a large piece, and this stretch a lot, you see, for a size large, 63 stitches, and that's because the type of yarn I'm using. So if you want this just a little bit bigger and you're using the same type of yarn, just cast on 74, and then if you want an extra large, you can do 85 stitches with this type of yarn, not with the thinner yarn, or extra large, 96. This stitch is the repetition of 4 rows, and this is stitch is 11 multiple 11 plus 8, so you cast on 11 11 11 and then 8 at the end. That is 4 for one side of the border and 4 for the other side. This is the border side. Like I say, it's very easy, and row number 3 is where you create these motifs. So that's the row that you have to pay a little bit more attention, and the other ones are net and purl, so it's very easy. So I wanted to explain that before we start, just in case you don't have this yarn and you have a thinner one and you want to do your piece, you can, but you have to do different cast on than mine. Something else that I wanted to recommend before we start is, if you are not sure that 63 stitches will fit you, or 74, 85 or 96, you don't know which one of those will fit your size, I recommend to cast on, let's say 63 stitches, and you do 4 row of purl or 4 row on net, and then you cast it off and measure in your body from one side at the seam of where your blouses go to the other side of your body. You measure, and if that's enough, you know, with that yarn you can cast on that amount of stitches. Or you can, if it's too little, you just add 11 more for the piece, and you know that that will fit you. Because sometimes I done some piece and I cast on an amount of stitches, and I said I don't think this is gonna be enough because the number of the stitches is really little. But once I do that piece to try it on, it's too many stitches and I have to remove some of the stitches. I always like to try that, do those 4 rows, because that way I don't do the entire piece and then I realize that it's too big or too small for me. It's a little bit of work, but that is the better way to do it, just in case you don't have this type of yarn. Now we have to leave a tail long enough for casting on, and then I will do this, wrap around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. I remove those 15. I fold it in half and mark in here, that's for 30. I let go, again in half. I come here, that's for 60, and a little extra for the extra 3 that we have to do. Now I'm going to do a slip knot, and I do the slip knot by wrapping the yarn around my finger like this, and this strand I pass it through the back of that loop. And like that, you create your slip knot. Very easy. And that will count as the first cast on. So remember, all these large sizes are not the same. And been to a store and I pick a size large blouse, and sometimes it's too small because it don't stretch enough, and sometimes a large size is too big, that is like it fit me like an extra large top. So you always have to do the little piece. I know you're gonna say she's talking too much, but I like to make sure that you don't do all that work and making a piece and then don't fit. So do the little piece with the 4 row and it will be life-saving. So we want to continue with the casting on. So this is the yarn attached to the ball, and this one is the tail. You pass your 2 fingers through there, and then you come here, wrap, pass, and let go. You can cast on whichever way you like. I found this much easier for me. So I will meet you here when I have my 63 stitches. Here I have my 63 stitches, and the tail is on the shorter side for me. I usually leave more tail than that. I'm gonna do a knot there to secure that stitch and my work. So we're gonna start with the net row. Right away we're gonna start with the first row. The design of the stitch is a repetition of 4 rows. So in the description box I'm gonna write down my way to write my pattern I don't know if it's the right way, but I hope with the video and the description in the description box you'll understand the stitch. So you're going to start with a row on net, and this is row 1 of 4. So you're going to knit every single stitch all the way to the end. I'll meet you here at the end of this row. Here I want to give you an example that why it's necessary for you to try those 4 rows first, to try it on to decide if that size will fit you, the one that I'm making, if you're not doing the same yarn. Because for example, this design that I'm doing here, I cast on for a sweater, that is this 52 stitches. Now for a blouse with the same stitch design and a thinner yarn, I had to cast on 84 stitches. That is this one here. This one is multicolor. This is a summer blouse that I'm doing, and this is a sweater that I'm doing with the same stitch. This one is 2 color and this is multicolor, but look, 52 stitches, and this one 84 stitches to have the same size. You see the difference? That's why I recommend to do those 4 rows, that way depend on the yarn that you're using to know if it will fit you or not. Either you're making for yourself or for a kid or any person, you always have to do those 4 rows, measure in the body, and then you will know if that size. We finished the first row, it was a net row. Now we're going to do the second row, and it's a purl row. And I wanted to show you here in my notebook. I got myself by putting 1, 2, 3, 4, that's one motif, and then I start 1, 2, 3, 4, another motif, and I did it like that, no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like I usually do. This time I did different, and then each time I did 1 row, I flick it, that I did it, and now I crossing it because of my second piece. So you're going to purl all the way to the end. And it's better in a notebook, because one day if you want to figure out what you did for that piece, how many stitches you cast on and all that stuff, you can go to that notebook that you have there, and it's especially if you put the name of the sweater that you're doing, and then you'll figure out what you did. Just in case you want to do one day another one different color or change something about it, and then it's easier. So I will meet you here at the end of this row. I finished row 2. Now we're going to do number 3, and you have to pay a little bit attention in this row because it's where we're going to create the design, and you have to do repetition. Okay, you have to repeat what you do in those 11 stitches again and again until you get to the end to 4 border stitch. So you're going to start with 4 net. Those are the 4 border stitch. Now we're going to open an asterisk here. That's where you're going to start this repetition from these stitches. So now you have to do 2 together and a purl stitch. So you bring the yarn to the front and do 2 together and a purl stitch, and again 2 together and a purl stitch. Now you have to do yarn over and a net 3 times. So your yarn is in the front, and from there you're gonna do a net, and when you do the net you're creating a yarn over on top of the needle. So that's 1 yarn to the front, 2, and 3 times. Now you have to do a yarn over and 2 purl together and 2 purl together. So you have the yarn over is wrapping around on your needle because you're going to do purl. So you're going to purl these 2 together and these 2 together, and that's the repetition that you're going to do. You close the asterisk here, and that's the repetition of these 11 stitches. You don't count these 4, these are just the border stitches, so you start from here to here is your 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to start all over again from here. 2 together and a purl stitch, and 2 together and a purl stitch. Now you have to do yarn over and a net 3 times. So we have the yarn to the front, and because the next one is a net, you see, when you're going to do the net and bring the yarn to the back, you're creating your yarn over in here on top of the needle. So that's 1. You bring the yarn to the front and net the next one. That's 2. Yarn to the front, and that's 3. Now again, you have to do a yarn over and 2 purls together. So yarn over all the way around and 2 purls together and 2 purls together. And that's the repetition that you're going to do all the way to the end until you have 4 left. There will be 4 net for the border stitch. So I will show you here in this one. That's exactly what I did. So let me show you in this one, 4 net, and then you did 2 together in a purl stitch, 2 together in a purl stitch, yarn over 1 net 1 time, yarn over 1 net twice, yarn over and a net 3 times, and then the yarn over and 2 purl together and 2 purl together. And that's the repetition from here to here that you're going to continue, you see, from here to here, exactly the same. So I will meet you here at the end of this row to show you how you're going to finish. Anyway, I will show you one more time how to do those repetition in those 11 stitches. Here at the end of this row is where you have to pay more attention each time you finish the repetition of row 3, because you will tend to do a yarn over at the end because you did it 2 together in a purl stitch, and the next one is a net, and so we've been working that and then doing the next one net with a yarn over. You will tend to do that. I did a few times in my other piece, and it's really difficult to undo or to frog that part of the stitch because all the yarn overs and the 2 together is it's not as easy as just a net or a purl row. So here you will tend to do this, you see, automatically, but you have to pay attention to bring the yarn to the back and do this 4 net with no yarn over in between. Well, like that you're going to finish row 3. Now row 4 is a purl row, so you're going to purl every single stitch. All the way to the end. And I will show you where you have the yarn over, how you're going to do your purl. So the next one is a yarn over. So that's the yarn over. You're going to come here to that in that strand, and you're going to do your purl, and then the next one is a purl. Again, a yarn over. You come here in that strand, and you do your purl, and the next one is a purl. Like that, you're going to continue all the way to the end. I finished that 4th row, and that's the 4th row that you're going to repeat until you have the desired length. So you see, it's so easy, and it's amazing how an easy stitch like this can look incredible, make a beautiful design. So you're going to repeat those 4 over and over until you have the desired length. I'm going to show you one more time, just in case you're a beginner and you need a little more practice, how you're going to do this 4th row. And in here I already marked that I did, I crossed that I did those 4, and then I'm going to start all over again, 1, 2, 3, and this 4. And like that you're going to continue until you have your length. And it's easier to mark that way you know if you leave your work, and when you come back you know which row you had to repeat. So it's very easy. So now we're going to start with the repetition of row 1, and that's a net row. You're going to net all your stitches. So I'll meet you here at the end of this row. I finished that net row, that was the repetition of row 1. Now we're going to do repetition of 2, that is the purl row. So you're going to purl all your stitches. So it's very easy to follow. You want to net in the right side and purl in the wrong side. Other than when you're doing the repetition of row 3, that is when you do the design. So it's very easy to follow. I will meet you here at the end of this row. We're going to do the repetition of row 3, and I will explain you before I show you. So you're going to start with 4 net stitch, they're border stitch, those 4. After that, the next 2 you're going to do them together in a purl stitch, and the next 2 together in a purl stitch. After that, you have to do yarn over and a net 3 times. So yarn will be in the front to create the yarn over, and then the net. So you will do 1, 2, 3 times. And then after that, you have to do a yarn over and 2 purl together. So you will wrap around the needle your yarn and do these 2 purl together and these 2 together. And like that is the repetition of the stitch in these 11 stitches, and you're going to continue over and over with that repetition. And then you will finish with 4 knit at the end. I finished the repetition of row 3. Now the repetition of 4 is a purl row. So you're going to purl all your stitches until the end of this row. Once you finish repetition row 4, you're gonna start all over again with a repetition of 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4 until you have the desired length. So I will continue with this one off camera, because with that repetition you can continue over and over doing that repetition until you have length. So I don't need to be here showing you every single row that I do. So I will count the motifs that I did for mine, and I will measure as well, just in case you want to do it the same size as mine. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 motifs. Once I did number 24, that I finished with a repetition of 4, what I did was 4 rows of purl in here for the top. So I did in the right side purl, that's 1, in the wrong side purl, that's 2, in the right side purl, that's 3, and in the wrong side purl, that's 4. And then I cast off after that in a purl row. And this will be the top of the piece where you're gonna sew the shoulders and create the collar. So now I will measure for you, and as best as I can, because the border, the stitches are net and they turn curl a little bit. So without stretching the piece, and measure 47 centimeters, and then the length I'm gonna measure from here, from one of these, and here it measure 51 centimeters long. So that's the measure of my piece. So go ahead, continue working with your piece, make 2 exactly the same, and then I will meet you here to do the sleeves. I finished the last row of the stitch. That was the repetition of row 4, and now I'm gonna do 4 rows of purl. So we're gonna start on the right side of the piece with 1 row of purl, come back with a row of purl on the wrong side, a row of purl on the right side, and a row of purl on the wrong side. After those 4 row of purls, we're gonna cast off our work. So you're gonna purl all the stitches. For 4 rows. And when I finish those 4 rows, I will show you how I'm going to cast off my stitches. I finished my 4 rows of purl. Now we're going to cast off our work, and we're going to do it in a purl stitch. That way we get this nice finish on the top. So you're going to purl 1, purl 2, and pass the first one and top of the second one. Again, purl the next one and pass the one in the back and top of that one at the front. And like that you're going to continue until you have 1 loop left. That will be 1 stitch. And then you're going to cut a tail long enough for sewing that shoulder, and you're going to pass that tail inside the loop, just like this, to secure the stitch. I have my 2 pieces done, so front and back. Now I'm going to work on the sleeves. I have here this little piece that I did to practice the stitch, and for the video that I did of the stitch, I did this. in here I have 30 stitches, but 30 stitches is too many stitches for the beginning of my sleeve. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove 2 border stitches on one side and 2 on the other side. So instead of 30, I will have 26 stitches. And this will be in the beginning in your arm. You see, 30 is, and I'm not pulling my yarn, I'm just opening the net. It's too much for mine. I don't want a loose sleeve to start with like this. I want it more like that. So I'm gonna work off camera with my sleeve, and I will let you know step by step how to do yours. And here I did 2 of the motifs, so I have 22 stitches for the motif, and I'm gonna do the increasing in a net stitch, because as the arm gets wider and wider, I'll be increasing in both sides of the sleeve and a net stitch. I did my first sleeve, and I love the design this way as well, that you have 2 motifs in the center and then just net in the each side. It'll look amazing in a sweater like that, or a blouse. I may do one like that later. So I start with 26 stitches here, like I mentioned, 22 for the 2 motifs and 2 stitches for one side for the border stitch, and 2 for the other side. So those are the 26. I work 4 repetitions of the design, and then I started doing increase in each side of the piece. I did 10 increases on each side, so 10 plus the 2 border stitch on each side will be 12 stitches in one side and 12 stitches in the other side of the sleeve. This sleeve is for a 19 centimeter sleeve opening, for the arm. So if you want this a little bit bigger, you can increase a few more. So I will let you know in which row you'll do continue with the increase. So it looks very narrow in here, but I like it that way because I don't want a big sleeve in here. I have many of those sweaters that are too big in here, so I want this a little bit more tight or fit well. So you see, that is the 4 repetition of those 4 rows in here, and then I start my increases and increase until I have my 12 stitches on each side. Those are net. You always work net in the right side and purl in the wrong side, and it looks like a really nice sleeve. If you find that this is too narrow for you, like I mentioned in the before, you can do, instead of 26, you can do 28, or you can do 30 stitches to start your sleeve. I have the little piece here that has 30 stitches, but that will be a little bit too big for my taste, for mine. But no, there's not that much difference. But then if you're working with 30 stitches, you have to start the increase much later, like around here, a bigger piece than here. So I stop talking and let's start doing. We're gonna start casting on the stitches, and I'm working with my third ball of yarn because I don't want to have a seam in the sleeve. I still have some of the other 2 balls. This is from one, and this is for the other one. From this one, I use some to do the hat, plus another little bit that I have from a different project. So when I show you how to do the hat, I will use a different color yarn because I already have this yellow one done, so I don't need to have exactly the same color. So you're gonna start with the slip knot, and exactly the same as I show you how to cast on the stitches for the pieces for the body. You're gonna cast on these, or whichever way you feel more comfortable casting on. So I'll meet you here when I have my 26 stitches. Here I have my 26 stitches, so we're gonna start exactly the same as we did with the front and back piece. You're gonna start with the row of net, and then you'll do a row purl, and then you'll do the row of the stitch. So you're gonna net all these stitches the way to the end and go back with a row purl. So I will meet you here when you have those 2 rows, 1 and 2, to do row number 3. Here I have my 2 rows. Now we're going to do the row of the design. So this time we're going to do only 2 border stitch. So that will be 2 net. Yarn to the front, 2 purls together. Two purls together. Now we're going to do the 3 repetition of yarn over and 1 net. So the yarn is in the front, so that creates our yarn over and 1 net. Yarn to the front, yarn over, 1 net twice, yarn to the front, and 1 net 3 times. Now we're going to do yarn over and 2 purls together. And 2 purls together, and we're going to do the repetition again. So 2 together and a purl stitch, and 2 together and a purl stitch. Now yarn over, 1 net, yarn over, 1 net, and yarn over, 1 net 3 times, yarn over and 2 purl together, and 2 purl together, and we have our 2 border stitch. There are 2 nets. Now you're going to do row number 4, that is a purl row. And then you're going to continue with your stitches and design, those repetition of those 4 rows, until you have 16 rows. And once you have 16 rows, I will meet you here in row 17 to start with the increases. Something that I wanted to mention is make sure that you write down every single step that you do for your sleeve, because I stopped working on mine for quite a few weeks. I did other videos in between. So I totally forgot what I did in the first one, and I'm glad I had that explanation in my notebook. Otherwise, don't remember what I did. So it's good to write down if you're going to change anything in the sleeve from mine, and then you write it down. Otherwise, you don't need to, because you will have my video to refresh your memory, okay? If you let time go by between one sleeve and the other one. Here I have my 16 row. Now I'm going to work on row 17, and I'm going to do an increase in the beginning and 1 in the end. And each time you're going to do an increase, you will do it like I'm going to show you. So I will let you know now in which row I did my increases. Each time I start the repetition in row 1, I did an increase. I'm going to start my increase in row 17, and then in 25, 33, 41, 49, 57, 65, 73, 81, and 89. Those are the increase that you're going to do, and total are 10 increase. And they always the same. You increase 1 in the beginning and 1 at the end of the row. After that, you will continue working until row 90. And then in row 91, we'll cast off our stitches. If you're going to do the same length, exactly like mine, okay? If you want a little bit longer, so you will work a little bit more. So now, to do the increase, you have the front strand and the back strand. The first one, the net that I'm going to do, going to be in the back strand in here, at the first stitch. You're going to net 1. You're going to keep it on your needle, and then you go to the front strand in here, and you're going to do a net in the same stitch. And then you go to the next net and net the next one. And like that, you do your first increase, and then now you have 3 stitches. So I'm going to undo that, and I will show you one more time. So you have the front and back strand. So the first one you're gonna do is in the back end here. You see? You're gonna knit one and keep that one in this needle and this one in this one. And then you go to the front strand and you're gonna knit another one. And then you go to the second knit. And now you increase one stitch, and instead to have 2 border stitch, you will have 3. You're going to continue working a net stitch all the way until you have one left. And we're gonna do the same. We're gonna do in the back strand 1 net, keep that one in this needle, and now you go to the front strand and you go and do your second net. Now you have 3 border stitch in the beginning and in the end. So that was at the end of row 17. You're gonna work 18 purl, 19 the stitch, 20 purl, and then in 21 you gonna work without increase in the beginning and the end, and then you're gonna do the next increase in row number 25. You have to pay attention because each time you do an increase, you're increasing the border stitches. So now you have 3, and this row 25, an increase in the beginning and the end, and then I will have 4, 5, and so on until it's like this. You see, these 22 stay the same, and you're increasing the border stitches. Something that I recommend if you want, that way it's easier for you. What you do is you work in here, and then you place a marker, and then at the end of here you place another marker, and in those 22 stitches you always keep the marker. That way you know that is where you're gonna do the stitch, no matter how many border stitch you are increasing. So it's very easy. I'm gonna work until row 90, and then in 91 I will cast off. And the increase is really easy. Like I show you, you do the first net and the back strand at the first stitch, and then you come to the front and do the next one, and then you have to do 2 net because remember we have 3. So I'm going to continue with my work, and remember in the last one you will do an increase. And to make things easier, I will place a marker here, that way I don't have to pay that much attention on my work. So I'll meet you here in row 90. Here I have my 90 rows. Now in 91 I'm gonna cast off, and this supposed to be the row of the design, but instead of the design we're gonna cast off the stitches and a net stitch. And like you see, I placed the marker there in between where the design is or go. That way it makes things easier, and let me tell you, it made it very easier to follow the stitches. So you're gonna knit the first one and knit the second one, and nice and loose you're gonna cast off your stitches. That way this part is nice and have elasticity. So like this, and the next stitch you're gonna cast off or bind off your stitches. All the way to the end. Here I have my second sleeve. Now is to sew together all the 4 pieces, and we'll have our blouse or sweater. Once you have your 4 pieces done, you're gonna sew in the shoulder, leaving the tail here without finishing that part, and the same on the other side. And then once you finish the top, you will try around to see if you need to lose some stitches or sew a little bit more. And then we're gonna sew the sleeves, one on each side. Sew the side, and we'll have our piece done. Like this, I'm gonna place my 2 pieces, and I'm gonna sew until the middle of this fold design, in this side and in this one, and the same in the other side where you have the 4 purls together, and here. And then I will leave the tails in there without finishing until I finish my piece. But we're gonna sew until there, or I'm gonna sew until there. You can sew more or you can sew less. Here I secure my first sleeve with some needles. I mark the center of the sleeve is here where I have these four pearls together, center of the two motifs, and I pin it here with a needle. So I mark here at the end and at the beginning exactly the same, stretching it out where they go, and then I'm gonna sew exactly the same as I did the shoulder. I'm gonna do this off camera. I don't need to show you again how I'm gonna do it because it's exactly the same. You're gonna sew the entire piece, and then after that you're gonna do the other one, and then we're gonna sew under the sleeve and the side and turn it on and figure out if this fit and secure it, and you have done your piece. It's very, very easy. Here you see this roll in, so you're gonna unroll it, and in this edge and here in the side is where you're gonna sew your sleeve, and in here, and those stitches that they look like a chain is where you're gonna sew the sleeve. I finished sewing the twist sleeve, and it will look like this. If you did exactly as I mentioned between those two border stitch, it will be like this. You see, inside here is the seam. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start here on the sleeve and place a pin in here. That way your work will be nice and even, and then after that you'll sew the side nice and even, do the same on the other side, and then you'll have the end result. I'm gonna finish mine off camera and I will show you the end result. So this is the end that I have from my yarn. So I already made a yellow hat, a matching hat with this stitch, to try the stitch and a hat, and it looked fantastic. So it's here. So I'm gonna do a hat, just in case you want to do a matching hat for your blouse or sweater, but I will do it with a different color, this design, because I don't want to have two yellow hats. So now I will put it on and I will show you that. Well, this is the end result, and I absolutely love this set, and I hope you guys like it and give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you are not already a subscriber. And if you make this beautiful design or any of my design and you want to send me some pictures, you can do it through my Facebook page, Ruby Crochet Tejido, or my Instagram, Ruby Crochet Tejido. Please share my video with friends and family and in groups. That way you help me grow here in YouTube. I wish you have a beautiful day. Bye.